Welcome, dear listeners. Today we're going to practice shadowing together with one of the most famous fairy tales in the world, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I know that you already understand English, and you can also speak it. But perhaps, like many learners, you wish to sound more fluent, more natural, and more confident in your everyday speaking. Shadowing is one of the best ways to reach that goal. As the writer Samuel Johnson once said, great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance. In the same way, your steady practice will bring great results. In today's session, I will read the story slowly and clearly. Your task is simple. Listen carefully, repeat after me, and try to match the rhythm, tone, and flow of the words. This will help you not only improve your English, but also feel more comfortable speaking naturally, just like a native speaker. Now, let us begin the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A long time ago, in the middle of winter, a queen sat at her window sewing. The frame of the window was made of dark black wood, and outside, the snow was falling softly. As she sewed, she pricked her finger with the needle. 3 drops of blood fell on the snow, and the red looked so bright against the white. The queen gazed at it and thought, "How beautiful! I wish I had a daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony wood." Not long after, her wish came true. She gave birth to a baby girl, and the child was just as she had imagined, skin white as snow, lips red as blood, and hair black as ebony. The baby was named Snow White. But the queen, the good mother, soon grew weak, and after some time she died. The king, Snow White's father, was very sad. Later, he married again. His new queen was beautiful, but she was also proud and cruel. She could not bear the thought that anyone else might be more beautiful than she was. The queen owned a magic mirror. Every day she stood before it and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror always replied, "You, my queen, are the fairest of them all." Years passed and Snow White grew. She was kind, gentle, and graceful. Everyone loved her, not only for her beauty, but also for her good heart. When she was 7 years old, the mirror gave a new answer. One morning, the queen asked as usual, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror replied, "You are fair, O queen, it is true, but Snow White is fairer than you." The queen turned pale with rage. Envy filled her heart like poison. From that moment, she hated the child. Day by day, her jealousy grew, and at last, she ordered a huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and never bring her back. The huntsman led Snow White into the dark woods. He held his knife in his hand, but when he looked at the innocent girl, his heart grew soft. Snow White looked at him with wide eyes and said, "Oh, please do not harm me. If you let me go, I will run away and never return to the castle." The huntsman dropped his knife and sighed. "Run, poor child," he said. "The queen wants you gone. Escape into the forest and never let her find you." Snow White thanked him and ran as fast as she could. She ran deeper and deeper into the forest. The trees were tall, the branches dark, and strange animals watched her as she passed. She was frightened, but at last she saw a small cottage with a red roof and tiny windows. She opened the door and went inside. Everything inside was small and neat. On the table there were 7 little plates, and by the wall there were 7 little beds. Snow White was so tired from her journey that she lay down on one of the beds and fell fast asleep. In the evening, The owners of the cottage came home. They were 7 dwarfs who worked in the mountains, digging for gold and silver. When they saw Snow White, they were surprised. She looked so beautiful and peaceful. "Who is this child?" one asked. "She must be lost," said another. When Snow White woke up, she told them her story, how her stepmother wanted her gone, and how she had fled into the forest. The dwarfs felt pity for her. "If you will keep our house clean, cook our meals, and be kind to us," they said, "you may stay here and live safely." Snow White agreed with joy. She stayed with the dwarfs, cooked for them, and kept their home warm. She was happy and safe at last. But the queen was not at peace. Again, she stood before her mirror and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror replied, "You are fair, O queen, it is true, but Snow White is fairer than you. She lives with the dwarfs, beyond the hills, in a cottage small and s." The queen trembled with anger. She disguised herself as an old peddler woman and went to the dwarf's cottage. She carried colorful laces and strings. "Good day, dear child," she said. "See my fine laces. Let me tie one for you." Snow White let her in, and the old woman tied the lace so tightly that Snow White could not breathe and fell to the ground. When the dwarfs returned, they found her lying still. They cut the lace, and soon she could breathe again. They warned her, "Do not open the door to strangers." The queen was furious when she heard from the mirror that Snow White still lived. A second time, she disguised herself, this time as a comb seller. She gave Snow White a poisoned comb. When Snow White put it in her hair, she fell down again. But the dwarfs returned in time, took the comb away, and saved her. Still the queen would not rest. A third time she disguised herself, this time as a poor farmer's wife. She carried a basket of apples, red and shining. One apple was poison. "Good child," she said, "taste one of my fine apples." Snow White hesitated, but the apple looked so sweet. She bit into it, and at once she fell into a deep, death-like sleep. When the dwarfs returned, they could not wake her. Believing she was gone forever, they placed her in a glass coffin. She remained as beautiful as ever, with red lips, black hair, and skin white as snow. Many days passed. The dwarfs kept watch over her and loved her dearly. One day, a young prince rode through the forest. He saw Snow White in the coffin and was struck by her beauty. He said to the dwarfs, "Please, let me take her with me. I will honor her and keep her safe." The dwarfs agreed. As the prince's servants carried the coffin, they stumbled, and the piece of poisoned apple fell from Snow White's lips. She opened her eyes, breathed again, and looked around in wonder. The prince was overjoyed. He said, "Come with me to my castle. Stay by my side, and I will protect you always." Snow White agreed with happiness. She said farewell to the kind dwarfs who had cared for her like family. Then she rode with the prince to his castle. Not long after, they were married. Snow White became a queen herself, but unlike her stepmother, she was gentle and kind. The people loved her, and she lived happily with the prince for the rest of her life. Now we are going to discuss 20 challenging sentences that will help you practice your English and improve your fluency. These sentences have been carefully selected to strengthen not only your vocabulary, but also your ability to express ideas more naturally and confidently. By working with them, you will have the opportunity to understand complex structures, refine your pronunciation, and learn how to use advanced expressions in everyday communication. This practice will not only build your confidence, but also guide you towards sounding more fluent and professional in different situations. Skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. This is a simile. It compares Snow White's skin, lips, and hair to natural things: snow, blood, and ebony wood. It shows her beauty in a very strong and clear way. The new queen was beautiful, but she was also proud and cruel. Here, proud means she thought too highly of herself. Cruel means she was unkind and enjoyed hurting others. This shows her bad character. Jealousy filled the queen's heart like poison. This is a metaphor. It compares jealousy to poison. It means the queen's envy was strong and dangerous, slowly destroying her from inside. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? This is the queen's famous question to her magic mirror. Fairest here means most beautiful. You are fair, O queen. It is true, but Snow White is fairer than you. The mirror speaks in a formal style, like poetry. It confirms the queen is beautiful, but says Snow White is even more beautiful. The huntsman's heart grew soft with pity. This means he felt compassion. At first, he planned to harm Snow White, but when he saw her innocence, he couldn't do it. Snow White found herself in a forest, dark and deep, where the trees seemed to whisper in the wind. This is descriptive language. The forest is big and scary. Trees seem to whisper means the sound of wind in the trees was like voices. The cottage was small and neat, with 7 little plates upon the table and 7 little beds by the wall. This describes the dwarf's house. The word neat means clean and tidy. The repetition of 7 shows everything matched perfectly. Envy made the queen tremble, and she disguised herself as an old peddler woman. Envy made her tremble means jealousy was so strong it shook her body. Disguised herself means she dressed up to look like someone else. A peddler is a person who sells small goods. Snow White's breath grew faint, as the lace was tied so tightly that she could no longer breathe. Breath grew faint means her breathing became weak. The lace was pulled so hard around her body that it nearly stopped her breathing. The dwarfs cut the lace and brought her back to life. This is not literal magic. It means that once they cut the lace, Snow White could breathe again and woke up. A poisoned comb hidden in her basket. This means the queen secretly carried a comb that had poison on it, hidden in the basket she used to trick Snow White. She fell as if struck down by death. This simile means she fell very suddenly, like someone who had been hit and killed. The apple was red and shining, but within it lay death itself. This is symbolic. On the outside, the apple looked beautiful, but inside it carried poison and danger. Snow White took a bite and fell into a sleep as deep as death. This means she was not dead, but her sleep was so strong and silent that it looked like death. Believing she was gone forever, the dwarfs placed her in a glass coffin among the trees. Gone forever means they thought she was dead. The glass coffin allowed her beauty to still be seen, even though they believed she had passed. The prince was struck by her beauty and said, "I will honor her and keep her safe." Struck by her beauty means he was amazed and deeply impressed when he saw her. Honor her means he wanted to treat her with respect and love. As the coffin was lifted, the piece of poisoned apple fell from her lips. This sentence describes the moment of release. When the coffin was moved, the apple came out of her mouth, and she could breathe again. At once, Snow White opened her eyes, and life returned to her body. At once means immediately, life returned to her body means she woke up and became alive again. From that day forward, she lived happily ever after. This is a classic fairy tale ending. It means she lived the rest of her life in happiness, peace, and love. If there are any sentences in today's story that you would like me to explain in more detail, please feel free to let me know in the comments section. Your questions are always welcome here, and I will be happy to create a detailed video where I explain those sentences more clearly, step by step. I also warmly encourage you to share your own explanations or interpretations of any of the difficult sentences in the comments. When you explain in your own words, it not only helps you learn better, but it also helps other learners in our community. Together we can build a space where everyone supports one another in becoming more fluent and more confident in English. In our next video, I will take time to go deeper into some of these sentences, and I will also give a special shout-out to those of you who contribute by sharing your explanations in the comments. Your efforts and participation are very valuable, and I want to recognize and appreciate the time you take to engage. Stay with us on this journey of learning English, and step by step, we will grow together to become more fluent, more natural, and more confident in speaking. Our goal is to guide you and give you the practice you need to make English a part of your daily life. We are always here to help you improve your fluency and build your confidence. I also warmly invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know which story you would like to practice next, and together we can turn it into another learning opportunity for everyone. Your participation is very important because when you suggest stories or share your ideas, it helps us create content that truly supports your learning. So stay connected, keep practicing, and remember, you are never alone in this journey. We are here to support you every step of the way.